Well, folks, here she goes. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Motoring Adventures. I'm Preston. And today I just wanted to give, it's been a little bit since I've published a video, and I felt like it was the right time to give an update to the channel. I've kind of hinted at some things on through my YouTube shorts because there's been some changes going on. Haven't gone on as many little adventures lately. It's not because I don't want to. A lot of different life things been happening, and kind of just reorganization of some of the things I use to go on my off-roading and overlanding camping adventures. And you might know by now that I did in fact sell the M1102 trailer with the Smittybilt Gen 2 rooftop tent. This was in order to couple things. We had some unexpected bills that we needed to pay, and it really helped out with that. And plus, I've also been wanting to eventually migrate my camping overlanding setup onto the back of the Ram Power Wagon, the truck bed. And I have talked about this before. I talked about it when I initially traded the Rubicon 392 for the Ram Power Wagon. That was one of my ideas, was to consolidate the trailer and set up in the Jeep and have it all on one platform, the Ram Power Wagon, a pickup truck. And kind of the idea there was, there's some pros and cons to using a trailer as an overlanding platform. Some of those cons being that it can be a liability at times, especially as we've seen here recently on recent trips I've done. It can kind of hinder you when you're off-roading in certain situations. Obviously, longer wheelbase isn't good, but you're adding a whole other vehicle connected to your main off-roading vehicle. And so that adds a lot more length. It's a lot harder to maneuver when you have that set up that way. I mean, for most intents and purposes and the types of trails I've been going on, it's not a big deal. And to be honest, in the trip I did where I went to East Texas, getting stuck in the mud would have happened even without the trailer, but the trailer was the main hang-up in that situation. Now, a lot of people, I saw you in the comments talking about how I should have used the winch. Why didn't I use the winch? Why didn't I get to it? My line of thinking there was where I was positioned. It really wouldn't have been that advantageous to winch to the nearest tree, which was actually just 6 feet in front of the truck. I didn't see the advantage of winching forward, 3.5 to 4 feet, because you're already that close to the tree. That would have put the trailer more into the mud, which I didn't want to do. I actually wanted to get back up and get the trailer, which was kind of sitting half into the mud, half out of it, back onto the main trail. And I felt I would have been in a much better position to just drive out of it that way. But I really just wanted to, I knew if I disconnected the trailer that the truck would have gotten out on its own power, which it did, with a lot of back and forth, but that's part of it. I'm not just gonna go in, it's stuck, and just immediately pull winch unless there's some real life-threatening situation, or you need to, you're in a group and we got to get moving. I was kind of in a rush because it was getting dark and I wanted to set up camp. I was exhausted just from driving that day. I was pretty confident it could get out on its own if I just position it right. And plus, the nearest trees other than that one were kind of off to the side. Didn't really want to just winch it sideways somewhere. So kind of, because I was that close to that tree, it really, it limited my options there. It wasn't just an easy, just hook up to that tree, pull it out. It wasn't that easy. if I would have pulled it forward more, it would have gone off the trail more. And in that area, they had recently gotten some rain, quite a bit of rain. And so that's why areas that were off the main trail were muddy, even though they didn't really look that muddy. That's why I pulled in there. I did see a couple ponds of water, but other than that, it just looked like some grassy, leafy areas that, you know, Mother Nature is trying to reclaim that marked Forest Service road. But obviously it was a lot wetter underneath. Anyway, that kind of got me thinking, well, you know, and I've already had this thought in my head, even from when I did my trips to Padre Island, you know, the 60 miles, 120 miles round trips, driving in the sand at the beach. You know, what would I do if one of the hubs failed, or, you know, if it just, something happened to the trailer, you know, 50 miles in. You know, if something happens to your main vehicle, something's going to happen to the main vehicle. But if something happens to the trailer, now you got to worry about how you're going to get the trailer out and get all the gear out that's on that. Or if your main vehicle breaks down, you got to worry about getting your main vehicle and the trailer out. So there's pros and cons. Stuff I didn't really mention when I did the pros and cons video about the M1102 trailer. It should have, well, that was kind of specifically about the M1102 itself, but really should do kind of a pros and cons of using a trailer for overlanding versus not, or off-roading, or whatever nomenclature you want to use. Now the pros, you know, to having that was, it was nice that I could just have a lot. I wouldn't say all, because I still would load up the truck with a lot of gear that wouldn't all fit into the M1102. But it was good to have a majority of that already ready to go. And besides, it provided a great, as you can see here, it provided a great place to store all this camping gear, including my 37-inch spare tire, which doesn't have a way to fit. It doesn't fit in the spare tire location of the Power Wagon. Right now I have one of the old 35s from the Rubicon 392 in that location, just as if I absolutely needed a spare. I think I could use that in a pinch, a 35 versus a 37, although I don't think you'd want to drive for too long with two different size tires, even if it's on the rear axle. That's a lot of differentiating in the differential between the two different speeds. But yeah, when I sold the M1102 and I took out everything, I was just amazed at it. It just kind of reiterated everything that it was able to hold. I mean, this is a lot of gear. It's a crazy amount of gear that trailer could hold, because it was so wide. You know, the dimensions of it, it was like, you know, 80 something inches wide, or, you know, I don't remember the exact dimensions. This wouldn't fit very easily in like your regular SUV. In fact, this would fill up pretty much the first level of the Ram Power Wagon's truck bed. And that's basically, this stuff all filled the bed of the M1102 just to the rim of the bed. There was just something really cool about that trailer. I like that trailer so much that I seriously doubt that's going to be the last one I own. In fact, I've already been looking for another one. But for the time being, I picked up this Leitner forged ACS active cargo system bed rack that's off of a Ram 2500 Power Wagon. And this will fit, you know, the 6-foot 4-inch bed off of any Ram 2500 pickup. You know, I've been doing a lot of research on different bed racks and different setups that I want to have. And I pretty much came down to two different bed racks I was looking at. The two I had kind of got weeded everything down to was the Leitner system, which, you know, comes with these bins that are supposed to be watertight, dust tight, or at least for the most part. And, you know, it's supposed to be one of the most durable bed racks out there. But another close second was the extrusion overland bed rack, or the extrusion bed rack. In particular, I wanted the other setup I was looking at. I wanted it to enclose the bed, make it kind of watertight, but I also want to have the ability to put a rooftop tent and other gear on top. And so I'd seen back when I had the Gladiator, I'd seen the soft topper as kind of a way to have to keep the stuff in the bed without dry and out of the elements, without having to get a full blown, you know, hard bed camper shell or bed topper. But then, you know, those are a little bit limited. You can't really put a rooftop tent on top unless you get like one with a reinforced frame. And, you know, you can't put much gear on the sides of them, like mounts for different gear, like roto packs or shovel or traction boards, which maybe someday I'll actually buy a set. But I found out that you can't, there is a bed rack. There's actually two different ones, one made by Extrusion that'll fit over the soft topper. At least this is for the Rams. I went back when I had the Gladiator, there was even more options. There was a company called JCR Off-Road, which I've used their bed rack and roof rack on my Rubicon 4xe JL, which I was fairly happy with their products. They build one that goes around the soft topper, but they unfortunately don't make a bed rack for a Ram 2500 or Ram heavy duty pickup, or to my knowledge, any heavy duty pickup. But there's another one called Datin Fab, which they make a rack that specifically goes over the soft topper as well. That was actually the cheaper of the two options between Extrusion and Datin Fab. I don't think Datin Fab is as nice of a rack as the Extrusion one. The Extrusion one, you know, has little extrusion rails along all of their pieces, and it's all aluminum, I believe, or at least those parts are. Datin Fab I don't think is an aluminum rack, but it doesn't have the extrusion railing on everything, although it does have quite a few holes and mounting points to put various gear and items on it. So I was seriously considering that one, but then I found this Leitner rack, this particular Leitner rack on Facebook Marketplace from a gentleman who has a Ram Power Wagon that he had this installed on. But it came with a lot of options, including something I really like, which is their, oh my goodness, I forget the name of this. It's their shower pod, or this is their HydroPod shower kit, which attaches directly to their bed rack. Now this also came with one of these extra large gear pods. It's the Gen 1, so it just has the prop rod. But you can see here, it's got the hose and the shower spray nozzle that goes in right there, which I think is really nice. And he also included, all the hardware, all the bracketry, everything to mount this. It even includes mounting points for traction boards for whenever I do get them. It has 3 crossbars to mount a rooftop tent or any other, maybe like an extra rack on top. And you know, it's used, does have a few scratches here and there, but for the most part, it's in excellent shape. Over here's 2 other gear pods. Now these have the Gen 2 hydraulic or spring assisted arm that allows you to just, flip it open instead of like this one with the little prop rod. But these have the little bags. Comes with these gear bags that are pretty nice. They come with different labels. This one says food, although this one's not holding food. This has all the miscellaneous hardware. If I could open it. See, it's got all the brackets to put the cross rails on. Came with extra fasteners. I'll finally see if it's all really here or not once I finally install it on the truck. It even has a bracket to use for my water port, which is funny because it's kind of like their HydroPod, but so I could mount a second water system to the Leitner rack. There's little pockets here, a key for to lock, because these are lockable bins. Just the quality of the gear is excellent. Like even these bags, these aren't cheap by any means. Got a really nice zipper that seals, like it's the zipper itself is got a little rubber seal around it, and these fit perfectly in these bins, and they're lockable. There's a water seal around it. And it had 3 of these mounts But this will allow me to mount my various roto packs, you know, fuel containers or water container, diesel container. Can't wait to get this Leitner rack installed on the Ram Power Wagon, but that's going to have to wait for a little bit because, as you can see, the Ram Power Wagon is not here. We just have my wife's 2021 GMC Yukon, and that is because it is in the shop. I'm having the bed dent or damage fixed from when I jackknifed the trailer. Now, unlike what some of you might think, I did not damage that when it was stuck in the mud in East Texas. That only put like a very small dent in the rear bumper. This actually happened on the last outing I did, where I did the Chisholm Trail, and I was backing the trailer up while, you know, shooting some B-roll, trying to get the shots of it going through the water, and I just was not looking on the passenger side. And with how short that trailer is and how long the Ram Power Wagon is, it really starts turning 90 degrees pretty quick if you're not paying attention. And I was kind of in a rush not long before getting to camp, and you know, it just jackknifed it, put a dent into the bed this time, not just the bumper, and put a nice little dent underneath the rear passenger side tail light. Didn't damage the tail light, so that was pretty good. You know, it's nothing too major of damage, but it is something I want to fix. It is a pretty bad dimple. I did have a few other things I wanted to mention. Camping gear update. The Newair fridge that I did a review on. Now this was actually, right, this is the Bouge RV portable refrigerator, which I bought with my own money, and I did a video on that. This fridge has been great. I've had no issues with it other than when it sat in the back of the Rubicon 392 in the summer, it would get a little warm. It would start not holding the temperature as well, but that it's kind of unfair to it. You know, sitting in a hot parked car and the vents are down here, and I had the back seat located right there. But other than that, it has worked flawlessly. Now this Newair fridge, this was actually sent to me by Newair to do a review on. So that was sponsored by them. This has stopped working recently. It's still, the display here, where's the display? Oh, right here. Still works, but the compressor doesn't turn on. Let me demonstrate. Unplug the power supply from the Bouge RV, which still works because right now it's got its auxiliary battery. You can see I just plugged it in, and the display comes on, the sounds work, you know, all the buttons work, but the compressor won't kick on. And I've tried, I've looked at the fuse. There's a fuse located right there, and it's not blown, so it's not that. I don't know, for whatever reason, the compressor on this isn't working. The LG, powered by LG compressor, you know, they advertise that like that's something pretty special about it. For whatever reason, it isn't working. Which is a shame because we actually found using both of these pretty useful on our Big Bend trip that I took the whole family on. Because when it's just me, you know, one of these fridges, you know, for a day trip, this is enough room. And on a 2-night camping trip, this one's plenty of room for me. But when we had all 4 of us for camping for 2 nights, we found that having the added space, refrigerated space, was nice because we could put, you know, just drinks into one, refrigerated food, frozen food, and we had, you know, the best of all worlds there. I had plenty of room to bring them in the truck and the trailer. But yeah, it's a shame. I've tried reaching out to Newair about this, and I haven't heard back yet, but I'll update you guys on what happens with that. I really would like to keep using this. It's a nice little unit. It really refrigerated well. You can watch the video, the review of this fridge. I'll put a link to that video as well. I really put it through its paces out in the summer heat here in Texas, and it performed phenomenally. And other than that, I do have some upcoming trip ideas. These may or may not happen. These are just mostly ideas I have for my next outing. I'm always, you know, trying to come up with the next place to go. My next trip that's actually planned is going to be to East Texas.
Now, usually around this time of year, my friend Joey and I go out to Big Bend National Park. We've at least done that the last 3 years. We didn't plan it this way, it just sort of became an unofficial tradition, but this year we're not going to be heading to Big Bend. We're going to be going to East Texas. Another friend of ours is supposed to be joining us, and I think it'll be kind of cool to switch up the location. And you know, I think after seeing my trip around New Year's to East Texas, it's got a lot of potential. It's the one area of Central and East Texas that has public land, you know, national forest land with just roads and Forest Service roads and dirt trails that, you know, there's nothing too technical at all, but there is dispersed camping allowed along these roads. And, you know, as long as it's already kind of a pre-established, you know, place. Actually, I think you can sort of establish a new place if there's a, you know, a clearing. You know, they have rules on that, but it's all laid out on the National Forest Service website. But for the most part, you are allowed to camp pretty much anywhere along those roads. So that's kind of the camping I like to do. It reminds me of being out west on the public land, on Bureau of Land Management, BLM land, or National Forest Service, National Park Service. But so that's what's going on. That's supposed to happen here at the end or the beginning of March, end of February. So hopefully have a video out about that, you know, a week later usually. Past that, I've also had this idea to explore the Pecos River Basin. I had an idea of how I would do this, since the Pecos River Basin is located west of San Antonio by about 3 hours. It's the river basin that's west of the Devil's River. Now, I did a trip out to Devil's River via the Texas Traverse Leg 4, you know, last late August. You know, I like that area. It's a great area. It's a lot of private land, but it's untouched. But I had an idea of how to make that work. There's a few places you can camp out there, and there's an off-roading park in that area called Escondido Draw Recreation Area, and I've been out there before as well. So keep an eye out for that one in the future. I have a possible East Coast road trip that I was going to kind of try to overland or maybe boondock my way out to see my brother. He lives out in Virginia, and he's been trying to finish up his Jeep Grand Cherokee, putting a lift on it. He recently got a Grand Cherokee, the WJ Overland, and if you go far enough back on my channel, it was long before I was actually producing edited videos. I used to have a 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee Overland, and I had that on a minor lift, and we used to take that off-roading and camping when we lived out in Las Vegas. And it was a lot of fun. It was actually you know, I liked it because it had a V8 engine, and it could still go off-roading. It had solid axles, front and rear. It was kind of like the precursor to the Rubicon 392. And then after that, there is another trip that could be in the works, and that's out to Las Vegas to meet up with some old friends of mine that I used to go off-roading and camping with out there. We used to venture out to what's called the Grand Canyon Parashant National Monument. It's located in the Arizona Strip, and the Arizona Strip is the piece of land that's in between the Grand Canyon and the Utah border in Arizona. It's kind of unexplored. You don't see or hear about it too much, at least from what I've seen on YouTube, but we used to go out there a lot, and I really miss that area. It's a beautiful area, and anything on the north rim of the Grand Canyon is just beautiful. You get to these vistas that are just remote, and there's no, it's not crowded with tourists like the north and south rims usually are. So we might do that. And also we've been talking about the Mojave Road, which is in Southern California, goes through Joshua Tree, or not Joshua Tree, I'm sorry, the Mojave National Preserve. I've been on that trail before twice. It is an excellent trail to do an overlanding style adventure. We've been throwing, that idea has been thrown out there. Or Death Valley, that's another one. There's plenty of trails and places to camp out there and hike. And the only other thing, Overland Expo West is coming up here in a few months. I've always wanted to go, and I always miss it every year. It's usually held in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I have family in Arizona. So it would be great to finally go out and make it to Overland Expo West. That might be stretching it a bit, but there's something to look forward to here on Motoring Adventures. So anyways, guys, that's the channel update for now. Stay tuned. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to be notified of the next video. and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.